Opinions that are wrong. Definition of opinions. Bro, you like the Herald. Anyway. So, last week on our technically first episode of Commlink, though we'll call it a beta episode, an alpha episode actually. Today's the beta episode. We talked about some issues that I'd found with the community. I was experiencing with the community. At least issues that I think were presenting themselves, getting much worse, and could become a problem in the future. This has spurred a lot of discussion. We actually ended up on Space Tomatoes podcast. He released the episode today, talking a little bit about it. And we learned a lot of stuff, talked a lot of stuff, and basically what I realized is that there is not a single consensus of opinions in this game. Fantastic. Let's continue that by talking more opinionated stuff. End of last week, we had Inside Star Citizen, and they showed us some updates coming to SPK and to Prison. Pretty much all of the updates, for the most part, were liked. There is an exception, but the idea of making SPK a lot more involved, making it a bit of a hub, I haven't seen any issues there, and it looks really cool. It's new content. I don't think a single person disliked what's happened with prisons, because, like, why would you? It's just, once again, it's just extra gameplay at prison. But there was a huge change, which some people are absolutely livid about, which is that SPK, for at the very least 318, is going to be the only place you can get rid of your crime stat without going to prison. So we've seen a couple of schools of thought on this change. One of the biggest ones that's been coming up, and is probably the loudest voice, is people just absolutely... They do not like this change because they want to be able to clear their crime stat in other places. I was talking to Space Tomato about this, and I didn't really understand why people were mad about this at first. Because, getting crime stat is 100% a thing that happens right now from, like, random bugs, and that's kind of shitty, so you want to be able to get rid of your crime stat that way. But prison is faster. Just, like, straight up. Prison is fast, like, the fastest way to get rid of crime stat 90% of the time. So I was really curious what happened, and then I realized it's because it's fun. It's fun to hack away your crime stat. And so if you are forced to go to SPK constantly in order to do that, then your enjoyment of that activity becomes garbage, right? If you're that kind of player that isn't really, you're not really there for mass PvP. You might even be there for just like a little bit of PvP. Like, you might be okay with fighting a player or something, but being forced to do that where there's going to be lots of PvP, I can understand why people are a little bit upset by it. I will say, I still think it is more beneficial than it is negative to make it one location. From what I can see, this particular brand of PvP, it's good to have it. Like, a lot of complaints we have about PvP previously is that it's not centralized, like from people who aren't doing PvP. Having it in a centralized area makes a lot of sense because of that. But I still understand the frustration. It's just, I think it is better than it is worse. Now, there is a case to be made that the last time SPK was like the only place to undo your crime stat, we only had 50 people per server. Now we have 100. So there could be an issue there. There's also, like, they could once again increase server caps in 318 and make it even worse, to the point that even PvPers don't want to go to SPK because it just becomes an absolute meme. One thing I will say is there is also a little bit of pushback from some members of the PvP community with this change. With changes to SPK. Not necessarily that change. which I think is also unfounded. There's people have been sort of complaining about. I've only seen a couple of arguments like this. I still think the overall reaction from the community has been positive. But there's a small part of the community that's been saying that, you know, making SPK hard, right? Like making SPK a hard mode thing, even though there's more rewards there now, that's important to remember. Some people are complaining about the fact that, yeah, it's going to be much harder for them to do anything, right? It's kind of, it's also it's a solo player's nightmare, which I think criminal behavior in Starset obviously should have downsides, but I don't think solo players should be punished. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big thing too. So that's where we're going to start. So we have comments. Until there is a reasonable opportunity to defend yourself from criminals without becoming a criminal yourself, and is not properly supported, forcing others to become criminals just because you want to be a criminal is a bad take. Sure. Who has that take? Like, yeah, if you are forcing other people to get crime stat, that's griefing. We were sort of talking about this last week. That is a form of griefing. Like making other players become criminals is griefing. That's, yeah. Emergent gameplay arises from more options, not less. Funneling crime stat to Korea only removes emergent gameplay from UGFs. It's sacrificing already present emergent gameplay for a railroad experience in Korea. By all means, update Korea, but do not remove the UGFs. I want the UGFs to come back 1000%, but I want to see what happens here. Because I don't actually think it's that bad. But yeah, we'll see. Exactly, I don't want to go to prison every time I look in an elevator the wrong way. Yeah, it's just not fun. And clearing crime stat through UGFs is fun. New SPK will be for PvPers, and the PvE folk should be happy as it now keeps the PvPers busy elsewhere. Except it does remove a little bit of criminal PvE gameplay. Now, I would say that the whole concept of criminal gameplay is supposed to be you are playing the riskiest form of content. So you're going to be forced into PvP situations. And if you don't, then too bad. But like, that's also not necessarily a great take. Like, people should be able to enjoy the game regardless. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think UGF CS clearing is too easy. Having SPK is good, but in a location like SPK, in my opinion. That's a pretty good take. Yeah, UGF CS clearing is still far too easy, even with all of that we just mentioned. And you want criminal gameplay, like removing crime stat should be harder than going to jail 9 times out of 10, right? It should be faster. And that's a big issue with all of the crime system at the moment, is because crimes aren't being punished correctly as they used to, because times aren't as hard. Which is also, once again, the reason that times aren't as bad is because people are still getting random crime stats from bugs and stuff. But because that's not the case, then it means that clearing crime stat is really only a positive thing for players that want to participate in active PvP. Another problem with going to prison is that your ship will be stored at Cleshire and you can only get it back by claiming. This results in the loss of all the items in the inventory and cargo hold. That has been confirmed to be a bug, Australia. It's not supposed to be claiming. It's not supposed to be storing at Cleshire. It's supposed to be storing at Hurston. So Everest. So right now, that is an issue, but that is a confirmed bug. It is not intentional. Maybe making the hacking security outpost time-based, and they rotate across the planet moon outpost to outpost. That'd actually, I'd be hyped for that. That'd be really cool. We already see congestion in bunkers. SPK will be a disaster zone. Yeah, it's interesting that they're doing this with 100 players and possibly more, like I said, if they add to the amount of people in 318. To the point where it's like, even though I think SPK is cool, it still might be too many people for the one location. So either having like just one more SPK, or even like what I think it was Aaron just said. No, Danger just said, having a rotating UGF where you can hack it from wouldn't be the worst idea. Have you read Spectrum? There's one positive threat to every 10 negative threats. Spectrum is not even remotely a good way to venture any positive or negative response from Star Citizen. And you should definitely know this by now, Marty. Come on. Spectrum is a terrible example. Everything I'm seeing, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, Twitch, overall, people are happy with the changes. And they are happy with the changes. Some of them, I want to point out, Marty, are happy with the changes, except for that, right? I don't think the vast majority of people are not like, more gameplay, hate it, garbage, get it out of here. Easy solution, just give SE a break until the next patch, in my honest opinion. That's a bad take, I think, Mikhail. Saying just don't play the game is always a garbage take. Unless people are getting really, really upset. In that case, yeah. It's a game with multi-crew ships. Solo players can easily clear crime stat in prison. No, I'm more saying, Herbie, that it's going to be literally impossible for solo players to clear crime stat in SPK, because it's going to be it's going to be only a team-based area, realistically. Probably. To be fair, we need to actually see it first. We don't know just how much more difficult the turrets are making it, just how much more difficult the extra NPCs, the boss, etc. is making it. We still don't know just how profitable the drug spitter from the evidence room is going to be. So maybe it won't be worth it for teams to go there, but my inclination is that they obviously want to test it, so they'll make it worth it. But I think it's good gameplay, regardless. It just depends, how much do you want to punish solo players for playing solo? Because there's a limit. You need to make it so that they still want to play the game. You know? It doesn't have to be they get to do everything, but they should get to do something. SPK has always been the easy option for clearing CS. It shouldn't be the only place to clear CS. Yeah. Everyone who likes to be criminal, killing people in lawful missions and calling it PvP. I mean, it is. I was talking about, it is still PvP. The big thing that comes is when people have vastly different definitions of what griefing is. That's one of the biggest things I've learned in the last week. After last week's conversation, everyone has different takes on what constitutes griefing versus legitimate PvP. And I don't think that's ever going to change. The only sort of way to curate it is through crime system / reputation, like we were talking about last week, so that PvP players think that they're still getting enough value out of participating PvP, and PvE players still think that the punishment is adequate for PvP players. The only thing is, I feel like that may be one-sided, because I think a lot of PvE players are going to always think that they're not getting punished enough, even if you do up the times, you know? But, you know, it's a weird situation, which is why I'm more talking about not necessarily the PvP stuff, but just how does this affect playing as a criminal in any form, PvE or PvP? Problem with the only place that you can clear bounty is SPK means that bounty hunters consider SPK and wait for players to come to them. Yeah, we were talking about this. I don't know if it was in Discord or in Twitch, Muffin. I agree. That's really weird. I just hope, the way to fix that would be to make it a restricted area for 50 kilometers so that they could sit out there and wait for people to come in, but they're going to be much further away, you know, before they get the mission to be allowed in. So I actually think that's an easy remedy. but is it worth it is the question, right? Like there might be better ways to fix it. Still stand by criminals and serial killers. PvPs get away with too much as far as crime stat rep. Prison is barely a slap on the wrist, and you can exit with a lawful level 5 crime stat in under 10 minutes sometimes. Yeah, I haven't been refuting that. I talked about it on Tomatoes podcast as well. The criminal system right now is not in a spot to, like, it just objectively is not in a spot to adequately punish PvPers or criminal PvEers for that matter. It's just not, right? And I don't think there's anyone that disagrees with that. I've never heard anyone that disagrees with that. And that can cause a lot of issues. When is chat? When does when currently is Bounty Hunter version 2 on track for? No, it's been pushed back like 7 times. But where is it like right now? If they take a look at time, merit balance, the missions get you out too fast. They 100% do. But once again, that's because the reason that jail times are so low right now, because they weren't in the past. If you would get an 18-hour time, that would take you 2 to 3 hours to get out if you were actively playing. And that's a pretty decent punishment in my opinion. Like that's pretty reasonable to be forced to do that for that much time. But they changed it because people get crime stat all the time on accident, right? Prison time should be longer. Yeah, like once again, that's yeah. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. Oh wait, sorry. To encourage people to clear it instead of going to jail. Yes. Yes. That's still sort of like piggybacked off that last one, but I don't think anyone necessarily disagrees with that. PvP to be healthy, there needs to be a rework of the crime system and actual opportunities created for PvP. Messing around with SPK on the edges is just like trying to artificially recreate JT. But I think you are, like, that is creating an opportunity for PvP. Like, regardless, that still is. Right? It's an area that people are going to want to take control of, similar to Jumptown, but it's in a different way, right? It's different motives, because you might have the motive of trying to clear your crime stat. You might have the motive of trying to make money from the boxes. Yes. Hello. You go to bed? All right. So she's just dancing, jamming out to the sick tunes.
So loud.
It is so loud. All right. Good night. Everyone say good night to Spark. Alrighty. Let's continue. Troy is bug, so is the random crime stat. They take that bug into account. Why not the other one? What? Oh, like taking into account the fact that your ship is getting claimed and stuff. Because getting crime stat easily is like not a bug that's going to get fixed in the next patch. It's like never going to get fixed. People are going to get random crime stats for years. Imagine SPK visual redesign that they mentioned has hangers. Would that fix anything? Unlikely. Honestly. If we had rep loss with crime stats, more loss the higher the crime stat. Yeah, we were talking about this once again last week. Having a reputation system somewhat in relation to crime stat would be fantastic. Should have just chatting? No, it's Star Citizen. We're talking Star Cit. I was thinking that actually, should this be on just chatting or Star Cit, but I think it should be on Star Cit. Oh, excuse me. Maybe make some form of payment to the victim where they get to pick some of the criminal's inventory or a payment. Bruh. That would be wild and would be incredibly trolly to the point that criminal gameplay would not be a thing. An important thing to always remember when we're talking about this stuff is you don't want to invalidate criminal gameplay. You want to make it appropriate risk, appropriate reward. That's the biggest thing. Right now, there's basically no risk. And the reward is fine, honestly. Like, it's not amazing, but it's not trash. Also, thank you for following Diffus and Arioneer. Thank you. How you doing? 318, we get cargo refactor and physical cargo is a thing. Criminals can now steal physical cargo. Pirates can actually pirate now. They have zero cost or consequence for their actions other than a slap on the wrist outside of traders. Miners' massive initial time money investment in comparison. Scale tips way too heavily in favor of criminals. Unless they make cargo mining make so much money that hiring escorts plus turret operators is still profitable. So cargo running... So there's a lot of things that we don't know that's happening in that patch for some of that to be relevant. We have no idea how profitable cargo running is going to be. Mining running will presumably still be profitable. So that is like a part of it, 100%. With them changing prisons and SPK in 318, I actually do expect that they will make crime times longer. Or rewards less, whatever in general longer, however they end up doing it. Because like you want people to test SPK, you want people to test prisons. So regardless, you should make those times longer so people spend more time playing them. So I think the risk will go up, but it'll still probably be too low just in the sense of the SPK stuff. But it'll be interesting. There's just so much we don't know about cargo refactor. And I was talking to Tomato about this in the podcast today. We've seen literally nothing on cargo refactor in like 6 months. We've seen salvage stuff. We've seen PES stuff. Like they've done a pretty in-depth discussion of PES. We've seen like nothing talking about cargo refactor. Although, watch it be this week's ISC, right? Is cargo refactor talking. So I'm actually not 100% convinced it's going to do enough to make people want to participate in like that style of crime. Yeah. I will say as well though, so right now the only thing that it would affect would be, mining, cargo, transportation, right? That is so profitable right now. And like has been so profitable for so long that it should carry larger risk than it currently does. Now, should it carry enough risk that half the server is trying to QED you? Probably not. But it'd be an interesting one. It's also like it's almost risk-free to go sell right now. Right? And you're making just insane money. I think I just said the same thing twice, but I think you guys get me. Like, if that got harder, if players had to learn how to avoid PvP with their mining large Quantanium rocks in their ship, I don't think that's a bad thing. You know? Because it's not going to be people, like, interdicting your mining ship. It's going to be people interdicting your cargo ships. So, and then, like, you'll probably be able to easily avoid it. It'll be once again, it'd be a very interesting situation because we can't tell how these loops are going to actively work until we play them. And there's a lot of changes coming in this patch, assuming cargo refactor actually hits. All right. Doesn't this change completely backflip on the current law of SPK? Yes, because the current law right now, Muffin, because of this change, is that Crusader are moving back in. Like, it's not a retcon. It's Crusader are going to now actively use it. Which also isn't really a backflip as well, just in that, like, Crusader are getting demolished by the Ninetales right now and are getting, like, fully targeted by Ninetales. So them reusing one of those stations makes a lot of sense to me. Another problem is bounty hunters can cheese the whole game loop and just camp SPK. They don't even have to go looking for the bounties anymore. But yeah, so I addressed this before. If they can have a large enough restricted area around SPK, I don't think that's an issue at all. If they don't, then yeah, it becomes an issue. It really depends on that. Like, if you are a bounty hunter and you camp SPK, are you going to get annihilated? It's like saying I'm missing gameplay as I can't solo a Kraken. No, it's like saying you're missing gameplay because you can't solo anything. Right? It's not you're soloing this one thing. It's they have to be able to do something. They don't have to be able to do everything. And I think being able to get rid of your crime stat as a solo player should be possible. Hard, but should be possible. And like, you're not going to get rewarded as much as if you're playing multiplayer, right? Like, yeah, a solo probably shouldn't be able to raid SPK. A really, really good player, sure. But like, most people shouldn't be able to solo SPK. And some PvE players are going to be forced to do that in 3.18. Maybe. Once again, it really depends on how difficult it actually becomes. It depends on how many people actually end up using SPK. It depends on how much more people are doing crime in 3.18 if Cargo Refactor comes live, which I assume would be a lot. The whole environment's going to change a lot. Easy solution is if you have good reputed security surface of each location, you can be given a quest to hunt bounties or do merc missions to clear your crime stat instead of going to SPK if you want to stay lawful. You lose rep with the criminal quest givers by doing these missions to offset it for criminal players. I like the idea of snitching. But it's kind of what you're mentioning. Like going after other bounties and then getting, like, cutting a deal with the CDF or whatever. That'd be cool. I like an idea on Tomatoes podcast with the probation work release for solo players. Yeah, while it wouldn't make a law sense, doing a thing of like, if you keep going to prison, but you keep doing the good things, right? Like you keep reducing your time the correct way and you don't do any of these criminal things that are apparently going to pop up in prison with the new gameplay. Having like a reputation system in that might be interesting. But it also may be a sort of thing where it's like, well, if you're going to be a criminal player, that's the only thing worth doing because meta, you know? So that could be an issue. It might be a bad idea. You go to prison, spend less than 10 minutes to get a crime stat. Who cares about wasting time with SPK? No, but once again, Mikhail, that's what I'm saying. It is important for players to have fun. And being forced to go to prison... If you're a good player, being forced to go to prison every single time you get a crime stat, it just sucks. It just sucks. It's just not fun. It's not efficient, right? It is more efficient to just go to prison. But I think that is a legitimate concern for people. It's just not fun to be forced to go to prison every time. Also, hashtag get good, just don't get crime stat. Yeah. You know how you fix this? Add in, turn self in, or give up not one location to remove crime. We do have what's it called? We do have surrender. It reduces your time in prison by like a negligible amount. I don't know what the it's not was in response to, Mikhail. Providing a way to clear your crime stat 1 to 3 in a less contested way is not taking away the need for group play. Yeah. That was also an idea, was like, just if you can make it like a CS2 or 3 hackable at like a current UGF, but if you have a CS4 or CS5, then you've got to go to SPK. Makes like a little sense to me. Most PvPers don't want to actually fight other PvPers. They just want to stomp on Timmies for easy kills. They don't want to actually fight someone that might be better than them and lose. They go for the easy kills. Sure. Like sure, but that is an inherent thing in the game. We're already talking about the PvE players will feel better if those players get punished more. And right now they are not being, once again, we've said it a couple times, right now no criminal behavior is really being punished appropriately. And when I say punished, I also want to remind you guys, I don't mean actually punished. You shouldn't be like, because you are participating in this style of gameplay, you can't play for 4 days or anything like that. You should be forced to do this other fun gameplay. You don't get a choice of which gameplay you're doing. You have to do this other fun gameplay, which they are improving prisons and making it a bit more fun. So that's a relevant thing. What was I saying? Damn, I forgot. Oh well. I forgot. Rip. Bounty V2 goes until Feb Q1 2023, which is as far as Progress Tracker goes. A lot of features that are coming out do that, but yeah, that doesn't bode well. These beats are a whole vibe, Ridmonster. 59 weeks of work to book through to the end of the roadmap. That is a lot of work, which is interesting. This change at this time with the game and the state that it is way too early. New players will be discouraged by this and might stay away from the game forever. I disagree. I think that is like, what is it called? Doom posting, but it's not posting. I don't think it's going to discourage new players at all, the SPK stuff, because new players don't even know that you can hack away crime stat. The new players find out about hacking very, very late in the game. And we started without having the UGFs, like the extra UGFs. And I don't think people were like insanely like, this is amazing when the extra UGFs came out. That being said, once again, those UGFs came out when we still only had 50 people a server. And once again, this is likely to be for one patch. So I don't think remotely this will discourage new players. The PvP aspect stuff might, but the like just crime stat in general isn't going to discourage them. Invalid criminals sentence them to non-existence. Sounds like a 318 problem. Crusader should have paid for escorts. If they do this, they need to add a way to pay off a 1 or a 2 CS. You can pay off a 1 CS right now as a fine. Am I above about being given missions by bounty hunter merc orgs to kill criminal AI players as missions? If your rep is high enough, you don't immediately become red or hostile with all the blue AI. The bounty doesn't go out and you're offered mission to complete with a timer before the different planets effectively turn their back on you as you have lost all good faith. You lose rep with those guys every time you fail. Sure. But I do want to point out, which we did mention before, Miguel, as long as there is a way to get that reputation back over time or something, that isn't impossible for players to do. Like tonight, after I shot the guard once in the head, it only seemed polite to finish him off. In my opinion, it's already way too punishing for a broken, buggy game. In alpha, 90% of the time I end up in prison. It's not even my fault. Add on to that you already lose all your stuff every time you die, which is also usually due to bugs. So you're saying prison is too punishing now? Is that what you're saying? When I said it could discourage new players, I was referring to the whole situation, PvP included, not just the one CS hack location. So you're saying, yeah, so Australia, so you're saying that PvP in general can push new players away. PvP in general is an integral part of this game, right? Like we were saying last week, griefing is more or less at an all-time low in terms of like PvP griefing. Now that might change, but at the moment, it basically is. The only PvP right now that players are encountering is mostly bounty hunting PvP, Grimhex PvP, which is like kind of griefing. It just depends on how you feel about it. A new player comes into the game, they're not getting pad rammed anymore. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but it's like 99% of the time people aren't getting pad rammed anymore. They are encountering other players. They may accidentally take a PvP bounty. 100% new players do that. But that's engaging in PvP. Though it should be more explicit, honestly. That's like, hey, you're about to fight a player. Yeah. I don't think it's pushing new players away at all. I understand the prison is relaxed right now because devs are aware you'll end up there due to bugs. Yes. The reason being landed legally on a pad and the game says you're trespassing. You can't get crime stat for that, JP. You just get impounded. Like, that's not trespassing, unless you're talking about something else. Space dads think PvP pro people are rampaging around like Vikings, wreaking havoc based off getting killed once in 8 months of gameplay, which likely was their fault to begin with. I don't know what Pebcac is. So tired of PvP equals griefing. No PvP equals a multiplayer game with human beings who can be and do anything. The verse is dangerous. That's what makes everything you do have flavor in it. That element of risk, even if nothing happens. Without this, SC would be a shell of what it is. Yeah. Like once again, I don't think anyone here is actually saying, like, don't put PvP in the game. Right? But when it comes down to it, a lot of the time, like, the only solution to what people have an issue with is a complete overhaul, which, like, yeah, or just removing PvP until, like, a later time. Thank you, Muffin. Not PvP in general, the force group PvP to hack your crime set away situation. New players are not going to do that. Like, new players are not even aware that that's an option. It will not push new players away. And it takes one rampaging Viking on a 120-player server to create that impression. Yeah, and that is true. And that goes a little bit into the community stuff that we were talking about last week. Just saying it happens for dumb reasons that aren't in your control. Sure, but I still, like... You can't have it both ways. You can't both punish PvP players more. Like the answer is fixing the bugs, and that's like a big Star Citizen thing, obviously. The only way to fix what you're sort of talking about, because you can't both punish players doing PvP more and not have it affect the people that are getting done by those bugs. Know what I mean? Nobody's saying don't put PvP into the game. The issue is that PvP has zero consequences for their actions. And not zero, just not a lot of consequences. People really wanted to do PvP and get good, they would play an Arena Commander. Except the Arena Commander PvP team didn't, like they don't use Arena Commander anymore. They moved away from Arena Commander. And it's not just because they want to shit on players. Though I'm sure some people think that, but yeah. I get called a griefer or a hacker on any kill I do from a space dad and then shit and harassed by, for killing? Yeah. PvP slider. So what the fuck is a PvP slider? I've heard people mention this a couple of times and that it was in the, like, it was a thing for CIG previously. What does it actually mean? New players will get crime stat for looking in an elevator sideways and I'll ask how to get rid of it and we'll come in contact with this very soon. They won't, though. They'll go to prison. Like I think... So we have new players come into the stream all the time, talking about all of their experiences. And that's not going to push them away from the game. Half the time, they're going to be like, holy crap, that's awesome. There's so many people over there fighting. 2 years, I've never cleared any crime stat nor wanted to. It's not a gameplay that matters to everyone. I'm interested in assisting when station calls for help. Yeah, but yeah, 100%, but it is, like, it's the hot topic at the moment. I'm with PvP. I'm not fine with having to stop everything I'm doing and becoming a criminal. Just to defend myself, it's easy to just get shot and start over, and that's a bad state of the game. Sure, but that, once again, that's a bug thing. That is not a thing that is, like, criminal gameplay. We keep... So, I want to remind everyone, the conversation today is not, is PvP allowed? What is griefing? The conversation today is... What styles of criminal gameplay do we want to see? How do we affect this? Think this affects criminal gameplay, right? We're not talking about this is PvP. We've gone way off topic again because this happens every time. I assume anyone wants to talk about criminal gameplay. PvP slider means you press a button that enables PvP or not. That's not a slider though. It's a button. It's not a slider. Elite and New World have systems to avoid PvP. Elite, you are on PvE only. New World, you flag as PvP eligible. Yeah, but so when I think about, like, this is probably the last thing I'm going to talk about on this sort of specific PvP. When I play Star Citizen, when I think of Star Citizen, I see a PvP system very similar to EVE. And that's what I expect from the game. That's what I want from the game. Even though I won't be doing really much PvP at all. At least on the criminal side, I'm not likely to do much PvP at all. I expect it to be a thing of there is always a risk. And I mean, that is the case. There is always a risk. People disagree with that. People don't want that. And that's fine. And it's sort of up to CIG to choose the best option. But it's going to be it is always going to be the touchiest subject in Star Citizen. You know what I mean? Even without bugs, like pretend that all the bugs that affect crime right now don't exist. It's always going to be a touchy subject. Because people want different things from the game. And CIG just at some point have to say, tough, this is what it is. It is whatever they end up deciding. Know what I mean? Fix the drug trade? Nah. Drugs are bad. Don't do drugs. Eve has a good system, but has a long way off here, yeah. But that's still what I would expect. That's what I expect when I play Star Citizen. That's literally what a PvP slider is. You enable disable PvP, then there are designated PvP areas where if you want to go there and don't have a choice but to enable PvP mode. Yeah, but that's not... Why do they call it a slider? There's a button. It doesn't slide. When I think slider, I think like Skyrim character creation. Like, do you want 20% PvP? 30% PvP? But that's fine, yeah. So it's just a PvP button. It's like the WoW, like World of Warcraft PvE servers. It's a PvP button. Which I think is bad. I think that is a bad way to do the game, but other people disagree, and that's fine. I'm an all PvE person, but Star Citizen is an open world system. If you don't expect someone to attack you, play Squadron 42, NPCs all the way. That's basically how I think of Star Citizen. And every time we have these sort of conversations, it comes up that people just have different expectations for the game in terms of what they want PvP to happen. I never do PvP, but I want the fear when I play the players may show up. Yep. Anytime Croncy plays on stream, that is criminally bad. Wow. Wow. Or else how CIG wants to do a PvP slider. This would be far future when we actually... I thought they said they no longer want to, but anyway. There'll be high-sec areas, etc., where if criminal rocks up, they get their world rocked by security, so PvP sliders literally high-sec to no-sec zones. Yeah, so exactly like Eve. That's exactly what Eve does. The PvP slider used to be discussed as in this is what the game shouldn't be, but it got turned around to if you don't like PvP, then you want a PvP slider. It's like... Yeah. Anyway. It's called a slider because in older MMOs it was an on-off slider. But that's two options. They cater to the PvE care bears, then there need to be clear boundaries for PvE players to keep them out of PvP zones because I'm sick of PvE babies. Constantly expecting PvP zone loot for none of the risk or effort. Well, once again, Quint, though, we have established today, there is no risk for PvP currently. Right? So, like, regardless of how you want the game to be in future, PvP currently is just zero risk. And while I think that's fine, I actually personally have no issue with that because I don't think there's any risk with any profession currently because wipes are going to keep happening. Obviously, people enjoy the game to do stuff. You know, people want money, whatnot. Also, everyone that's been following, thank you very much. I can't see the follower names from here, but I appreciate it. Slide it to either on or off. That's a switch. I'm just going to keep calling it a switch. Can you tell us what you think about the slider versus button debate? If you can only slide it between two different discrete options, does it still count as a slider? No, it's a button. It would never not be a button. Trading has the most risk in the game with all the bugs, etc. It doesn't, though. It hasn't for a very long time, Mikhail. Pretty much ever since 30k protection, trading has been incredibly risk-free. And it's also not profitable anyway. Like, the cargo refactor, once again, will probably change all of that. So, what if it was a sliding switch? Ugh. All right, we're going to stop talking about PvP explicitly in a second. At least this thing. We'll go on to a different topic, kind of. but we'll finish up a little bit. I'd like to see a mix of crime activities, i.e. solo PvE could be low-level smuggling or data theft. Then team PvE could be a heist where the team then holds an objective for a time. Sure. Best part about PvP is money in game is meaningless. Yeah. But once again, like, while for me, it doesn't matter. For me, there is no risk in the game except time loss. And I'm enjoying myself constantly because I'm extremely easily pleased. For a lot of players, that is not the case. For a lot of players, and this is also something that I learned from when the wipe happened, I did not care, right? I didn't care about the wipe. I didn't care about the messed up UEC. I just didn't care about any of it. I was totally indifferent towards it because that's not why I play the game. I enjoy the experiences that I have in the game, most of all. And I enjoy playing with you guys, right? To a lot of players, no, it's like the way that they enjoy Star Citizen is the amount of money they make, right? Just like that is their biggest thing. What's my brain doing? Sorry, I got really lightheaded and forgot my point. I hate Star Citizen. 30k protection has never worked once for me. Rip you. Get good. Money's irrelevant for the next 6 months at least, since the next 3 patches will most likely come with the wipe. Yes, like, once again, that's what I think, Australia, but like, people are allowed to want to have money as their incentive. And for those people who are enjoying the game with money as their incentive, this is a reasonable issue. You know? Croncy is literally the worst type of backer of FC. The tires who easily please. Also, he keeps wasting all my Tarkov gear. Damn right. Didn't even care about the Pika Ball. I cared about the Pika Ball. That was an experience, right? With the wipe, I kind of cared about the Pika Ball leaving, but not much. Hi, new follower here. How does one find the right org? I've been looking through all the orgs, but there are so many it's difficult to choose. The biggest thing that you're going to want to do, Metatron, is look through streams, look through the org list on Star Citizen, and just like try them out. Right now, orgs mean basically nothing except a group of friends to play the game with. One day they'll mean something in game, but right now it means nothing. So you should literally shop around. Just try anything. Try any org, see how you like it, go to the next one. Get a better gaming chair? Bruh. If only they'll sponsor me. Can we all just acknowledge that by the time Star Citizen released, everyone in this chat will have died of old age? Wrong! I'm gonna die of syphilis. Money has value for what you can do with it in the next 6 months. Yes, but that is relevant to some players. And like, you can't really say, well, they're not allowed to enjoy that too bad, you know? Not that I'm saying you are saying that, yeah. I have to say, I think you saved the hunt for the Pico Ball with your expose on the spawn issues. Thank you. Well, they've all been found now. They all got found during 3.17.2 PTU. And it was just as we suspected. Did you mean to stream this to OnlyFans? Yes. Money meant something when you didn't make enough to buy a ship in one gaming session. To you, yes, Mikhail. That does not invalidate other players' gaming experiences. Players that play for the AUEC are going to be frustrated during the next year or so. Probably, but, you know. All right, so the other thing I want to talk about, I think we're far enough away from the is PvP gameplay, which was not the topic I wanted to talk about. So the future of criminal gameplay. PvE and PvP. So Pyro is coming out in 7 years. And obviously will bring to it a lot of new criminal aspects, PvE, PvP wise, and bounty hunting aspects, all that sort of stuff. Probably new risk, involved trade and whatnot. What I want to see, this is probably my biggest request for Star Citizen criminal gameplay. I desperately want an alien prison. The only prison we have is Klesha. The only one we've seen. it feels like Klesha would be pretty easy for them to replicate in the same way that they replicated caves by like making them like slightly modular. So we know that Klesha is probably going to be, I assume, in multiple other places around the verse in different systems. But I desperately want to see, I really want to see an alien prison. I really, really do. Pyro's coming out in 7 years. Croncy, why you have to get my hopes up? No, I know Mikhail, but I was trying to talk about the other side. But that is a thing. It does sort of speak on our last thing of like, will the majority of PvP players move to Pyro? And the answer is probably mostly just because everyone's going to move to Pyro because we've been in Stanton for like a couple of weeks now, you know. Xenothreat takes no prisoners. Xenothreat aren't aliens, right, Aimless? Alien prison won't be in UE territory, so you'll have to wait until alien control systems come in. No, 100%. But I think it'd be really cool, especially like, so we have jurisdictions, which right now in Stanton, every planetary system basically has the exact same laws, except for what contributes contraband, I believe. I think there's the only thing that currently changes between systems. It makes sense in Stanton. Presumably everything's legal in Pyro. I can't imagine what would be illegal there to like the CDF or whatever. But it'd be interesting. As someone that randomly flies red, I just want better fights. There's nothing like having the entire Navy trying to tickle them toes, and then you get a player in the mix. I'm bored with PvE bounties and players just run. Yeah, that's a good take to get because we don't see many. We haven't had many PvP examples in here, like from players of PvP. So, and you will presumably get that at SPK, right? Which is one reason why having the UGFs removed is. Like, that is an example of a positive impact that's going to have on gameplay. PvP as a player's too, chat. With the aesthetics of the bounty, that would be awesome. Yeah, like imagine you do crime against aliens and then you get you get imprisoned. And surely it would be a thing, right? It's not the only thing I wanted to talk about. Someone else mentioned like it'd be really cool if we had a prison barge. It's like we have the Caterpillar prison vessel that you can do the mission for. Was it Area 18? You can do Twitch's mission, but like have that be a thing that you can actually like be in or something, or have like a station-sized ship that is a prison that travels around or something. That'd be a very interesting way of changing that kind of gameplay because all we have now is Klesha. And Klesha was cool when it came out in, what, 3.10? 3.11? Something like that? But now it's kind of boring. We just, like, the stuff we can do in there is changing, but the actual location isn't, you know? I'd like to reiterate the pirates are not PvPers and should count as such once... Well, they are PvPers, though. That is participating in PvP. You're saying pirates are not... Well, yeah, you're basically saying pirates are not griefers. Majority of piracy will be against AI. Unlikely. They do the thing. They do say the thing all the time of like 10% of or whatever. Yeah, 10% of the population is going to be humans, like players. But I severely doubt that that's where the majority of that style of gameplay is going to be, is against NPCs. But that's so far away that it's like you could predict it 90 different ways. We're just going to see how crime stat in one system affects other surrounding systems. Like being a master criminal in Pyro affects your crime stat in Stanton. Should have some effect. It should definitely have some effect. There should be reputation bases based off that. But because you aren't doing it in their Commlink range, they might not know about it until later, or maybe it gets reported by someone. Whoever controls the space station in Pyro will set the law and will outlaw everything they don't make money from. Yeah, so it won't be actual law though, Australia, because there's no, like, how are they going to do prison? Unless they do prison. Like, if we see criminal prisons, that'd be cool. Maybe on, I forget the name of the station. Ruin Station? If on Ruin Station, there's like a criminal section that like, because I think Xenothreat currently, please let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe Xenothreat currently runs Ruin Station. It would be interesting to be like, if they consider something to be a crime against Xenothreat, which is basically just, hey, have you not killed any aliens in the last week? Pff, that's a crime. That they can like imprison you there for some time or something. Oh, some Pro Potato. Did they fix 30k yet? You said that yesterday, Lanceros. Is Odin's prison currently functional in law? I have no idea. I would assume not, because it's like mostly unpopulated is my understanding. Definitely a difference between people legitimately trying to do piracy and the people just looking to start shit for no reason, or because they like getting into fights. And I've said, JP Sandman, I think there are a lot of people that have my take of that's fine. Right? I am 100% okay with people doing PvP because it's fun. And I will always be okay with that. But people are rightly concerned because it's not fun for them. And how do you fix that in a way that doesn't punish anyone? It was probably not an answer, but people have to be allowed to do PvP just for fun. In Pyro, getting access to the different criminal gang stations will be super important, so following their rules will be most important for your continued survival in the system. True. I want to team up with the Fire Rats. The Fire Rats sound sick. And they've got like hella cool outfits, which we're supposed to be seeing soon, I believe. And like coming to the verse soon. Does anyone know if Ruin Station will be the only station where you can get fuel, etc.? No, it won't. There are other locations you can get fuel, but Ruin Station will be the only like proper landing port, if that makes sense. Like you'll be able to go to basically the equivalent of a refinery that's like derelict, that are owned by the other pirate orgs, and you'll probably be able to buy fuel there. But it is still an extremely large system, and so you're not going to want to rely on those stations for fuel. What are we discussing? We're talking about criminal gameplay in general. What we'd like to see, what issues we have it now, both PvE and PvP. The ship's not blowing up easy, but instead getting disabled, it'll be a different experience. Yeah, that's true. That'll definitely change the equation. There's also a bunch of gangs that hunt other gangs too, so there'll be many flip sides and ambiguity of gangs in Pyro for you to investigate and take part of. Yeah, I don't expect Xenothreat to lose Ruin Station unless they do like a big dynamic event there, which honestly they probably will. There's always definitely going to be a dynamic event at Ruin Station because it just feels like the place to do one. But the other stations I can see flip-flopping constantly, whether just in lore or in practice. What is the best ship in the game? Is Wise of the Herald? No comment. Subflare armor we got that was the heavy armor with all the exposed and welded parts in different colors were part of the major gangs that hunt other gangs. Yeah, I was wearing that today when we were doing gun running. Overlord. The Overlords. Do I use VKB dual sticks? I do. So dual sticks. The left one is an Omni throttle and I love it. I am absolutely in love with them. They're really, really good. Light tips on how to remain positive following this project. Probably just not follow it. No, I mean, honestly, the way to remain positive is remember that, like, just like as long as you're enjoying the game. If you're not enjoying the game, then of course you're not going to be positive, right? I'm enjoying the game, and that's enough for me. It'll always be enough for me. I'm enjoying it right now. Any quarrels or anything I have with the game is usually significantly smaller than how much I like the game. I don't think I've ever had a proper problem with Star Citizen. Now, keep in mind, I backed in 2019, so I luckily never had to deal with the absolute mess that was 2015 through to 2018. And everything I've experienced has been pretty good. So, including development. Development in the last 3 years, patches in the last 3 years, things that have come out, for me, have been fantastic. And so it's been very easy for me to stay positive. So if you're a new backer, I actually think new backers have like the better thing. They aren't sore, right? Like things haven't been as bad in the last 3 years as they were in the previous 5. Forgot you were streaming today. Now I have to watch the VOD. I will be posting this one up on YouTube. And I'll probably be doing a little shorthand of it as well. But we'll see. This is episode 0 of Commlink. We're going to be doing this every Monday. We're going to have a topic. We're going to be talking about something Star Citizen related. And it's a conversation between me and chat, and also you guys yourselves, so like talking amongst each other too. So every single Monday. Well, the plan is every single Monday. The day might change. This is episode 0. So like episode 1, which will be next week, might be a bit fancier or something. I don't know. Oh, excuse me. I think you'd see less piracy, griefing PvP if there was a dedicated place for it. Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like the removal of the other UGFs does mean that the PvE group don't have to experience PvP as often. But as we've already sort of mentioned, the removal of being able to do those players not being able to remove crime stat is just unfun, which is why it's a legitimate concern. It may end up being a thing that just gets completely ignored, but I think it's more realistic that we'll get UGFs or more hacking locations after 3.18. Like it'll just be for this patch we're testing this, and then we'll bring like 1 UGF online, 2 UGFs online, whatever it might be, or a completely new thing. Best thing to do is when you get tired, take a 12-month break and then come back and play until you're burnt out, disillusioned again. Just never get burnt out. We'll admit there are people who just want to see people cry. Yeah, and that's never not going to be a thing. You can't fix that. Pre-alpha. Been playing near 12 months. Game is awesome. Bugs can be amusing, and we only have one system, and it's kept me busy. It's because it's a massive system. You really don't realize just how enormous it is until you like play it, you know what I mean? 2015 backup checking in to confirm that's true. Yeah, I think the possibility you run into PvP anyway will always be a part of the game. But I agree with you, Australia. It's just like, how do you make people not absolutely despise the game because PvP exists? And even if the case is people want to just murder people because... And I think the issue does stem mostly from what we've been talking about too with Mikhail, the prisons not being enough punishment. But once again, not punishment. It's not actually punishment. It's you are forced to do this other gameplay. Went to the Omni Throttle from X56. I went to the Omni Throttle from the X56 HOTAS. It is great, although I do miss the trim wheels, I assume, on the X56. Yeah. Ah! What did I do? My chat disappeared. Yeah. Pyro's going to need some pretty insanely high profits to encourage miners and trade players to go there. Doing this would encourage group play with big trade and mining convoys, and in turn, actual player pirate gangs doing actual piracy, not just being murder hobos. Well, yeah. And I mean, is that not what we expect? Is that not exactly what we expect? Yeah, I fully expect that to be the case. But then the inevitable thing, and it sort of goes, we keep going back to last week. I didn't want to talk about community today. It does bring us back to, we're going to have solo players complain that they can't do that mining in Pyro without getting killed. And like, while the excuse is kind of like, well, too bad. Like, that's shitty, you know? I'm 3 years into playing SC, but I've been a part of the project since 2014. I am very much burnt out and extremely frustrated with SC CRG. I'm still hopeful for the project, but my patience is wearing thin with them. Meh. I'm enjoying myself. Remember to title this VOD Salty Mike. You think you are salty, lol. Watch this. I am your master. I only enjoy it in small doses currently. I'll play more often when it's more enjoyable, but I still enjoy the following the development. Doing that since 2015. Started following in 2017, actively trying to believe in the project, but it gets harder and harder. I mean, no hate for being toxic. Oh, I mean no hate for being toxic. Why is it getting harder and harder? All I've seen in the last 3 years is better and better development. That's why, like, sometimes I don't understand people necessarily getting super mad unless they've been following the game for super long and like all the old school broken promises and whatnot. But just like now, I just don't care, you know, because like every time a new patch comes out, we get a bunch of like player features. Yeah. I need that possibility of player generated threat over my head to keep my heart beating. Yeah. What's UG? Do you mean UFG? It is Ultimate Fell Friend, yes. No, it's Underground. Oh my god. What does the F stand for? Underground Facilities. UGF. Underground Facilities, not UFG. Underground Facilities. I want to say that Squadron 42 needs to live up to the hype. However, I don't think anyone is really hyping it anymore. Majority of everyone I know is get it done so we can focus on the PU. I'm not. I'm good with it. I'm excited. I am excited for Squadron 42. PvE security will control some areas, but they need a serious upgrade. Although the currently low server tick plays into this as well. Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, when we were talking about the Eve system, they react like that in high security areas. Even in like 0.6, 0.7, they react relatively quickly. I think it's like 30 seconds or something. Whereas that's not the case in Starset. And if that was the case in Starset, it'd be a bit better because it would be, once again, while it doesn't eliminate the threat of PvP, it discourages it unless it's like profitable. You know what I mean? You'll never eliminate it. You will never be able to eliminate it without literally removing PvP. But if you make it more incentivized, more risk for both parties, then you'll end up with much less situations where people are like hella salty. Which that's really what it comes down to. It's just like, how salty are people willing to be? I expect nothing currently other than exploring. I don't expect anything from them outside of missed deadlines and broken promises. Yeah, I disagree. Because I haven't experienced that in the last 3 years. Like, they have done significantly better than the vast majority of game devs from what I've seen in the last 3 years. That's the tip, Croncy. I'll be sure to go into Pyro without my org so I can complain too. Then it might be pretty quiet when Pyro drops. The first few weeks of Pyro, there'll be like 2 people in Stanton. Which, like, of course there will. It's going to be a wealth of new content, right? Every time we've had a new planetary system, all the other planetary systems go hella quiet. But like a little bit, obviously. And it's going to be exactly the same, you know? Of course it'd be like that with Pyro. Which is also going to be extremely chaotic. Because it's like actual Old West. It's like, yeah, here's all this new content. By the way, you're gonna die. Everyone is weapons live. What am I doing on the 3rd? On the 3rd, I am going to Bar Citizen Sydney. No, Bar Citizen Melbourne. I forgot what city everything was in. If you're in Australia, you should come to DreamHack on the 2nd to 4th of September. And specifically on the 3rd, you should come to Bar Citizen Melbourne. And if you don't come to Bar Citizen Melbourne, JJ is going to kill you. It's true. He told me himself. I have the receipts. Anyway, genuinely, you should come. It's going to be hype. It's going to be really good. I like PvP, but that's because I'll never be competent at defense, so I know I'm going to have to run with a crew or hire some protection. Yeah, I mean, yeah. The game is definitely getting better with every patch, even if I don't agree with all the decisions or what they choose to prioritize. And that's the thing, you can't. Because every player wants the game to be run a completely different way. And once again, that's one of the things I've learned over the last year. Everyone wants this game to run differently. And that's obviously just not possible. But because they do have such an amazing, like people in the Star Citizen community constantly talk about how bad, like, oh, their interactions with the community are so trash and stuff like that. They are literally the best in the industry. And they crush it. The community team is fantastic. They listen to the community all the time. But the community as a whole has 80,000 different opinions on how things should be run. You know what I mean? When you see the list of what's left, it gets so disheartened. That's because there's 90 billion things in this game. I'm excited for Squadron 42, partly because I'm hoping they'll put more resources into SC when it gets released, but mostly because I want a real story in the SC universe. I mean, a lot of the resources will be put into SC afterwards. Still hyped as fuck for Squadron. It's not just a hurdle to get over, so they can focus on the PU. Both are equally important to me. Yeah. It's meant to be MMO, keyword multiplayer. There should be content that is locked behind that very aspect of the game. Yep. Well, once again, not necessarily locked, but like, if you are going to do it solo, it should be insanely hard, sort of thing. It's like you don't want to do cargo running, you don't get the benefit of cargo running. I heavily disagreed with what CRG did with mining, where they effectively invalidated multi-crew mining with mining gadgets. Yes, multi-crew is still an option, but now you can just skip the multiplayer aspect of the job to mine larger and more profitable rocks. So that's been an issue forever, and they didn't invalidate it with mining gadgets. It was already invalidated. It has been most efficient to mine with just the prospector since refineries came out. Yeah, it's been ages. It's like... That is not the issue. The issue is already that multiplayer is just fun. And because it is an industry gameplay mechanic, unsurprisingly, the vast majority of players that want to do industry gameplay are mostly motivated by profit. And like that is fun for them. And it's like somewhat fun for me. I still like doing the mole because it's the mole and I love the mole. And I'm never not going to love the mole. But yeah, that's been invalidated forever. Mining gadgets didn't really change much of anything, except for a slightly better new player experience when first beginning mining, that they immediately abandon, right? They'll do mining gadgets for 1 or 2 runs, and then they'll be like, all right, cool, I'm good enough. You know? Expecting Squadron 42 to be an epic narrative. It'll be linear. I don't think it'll be groundbreaking in terms of storytelling, but the style graphics will push it further than others could via details. Honestly, 90% of the reason I'm excited for Squadron 42 is because I love the actors that are in it, and that's fine, you know. When we started Zero to Hero group, we literally did it yesterday, Captain. When we started Eve Zero to Hero, ugh, no clones allowed. Imagine. And Eve Concord is OP, and interfering with Concord is bannable offense under exploits. Oh, yeah, exploits, yeah, sure. They're doing the chapters now, though, Marty. Like, they're literally actively doing the chapters now, as well as the additional chapters don't require as much work from design teams. They don't require as much work from engine teams. So a lot of, or ship design teams, that sort of thing. So they all get to move towards, what's the name of the game we play? Star Citizen. I don't understand when people get upset about things being removed from a patch. You know it's in development, things happen, your vision changes, you create things, this always happens, yeah. We'll see Evolved one then. Shall we just look at the most recent broken promise from the letter of the chairman? 3/18 June, right? We're 2 months beyond the deadline for that and still radio silence from CIG. Well, no, it's supposed to be in back-end testing, and it very well may be with some Evocati testers, with some internal testers. 3/17/2 got delayed like a week out of June. That's fine. I think if you have legitimate issues with those sorts of things, that's fine. Of course, you're gonna have issues with those. But also, when they say we have this target, and then you go, you didn't meet that, you didn't meet your target, so I hate you. Like how dare you break this promise? It's not a promise, right? CIG definitely did have broken promises in the past. There's a big reason why people hate the development between, like, yeah, 2015, 2018. Not a thing anymore. You know? Ah! Phone dropped. Tarkov is much better at communication than CIG. I disagree. Bar citizen events are the best part of the game. Yes, JJ. Yeah, I assumed Demon the JJ made you say that. As far as stability, it's been a mess of a patch, but the game is getting better and better. Yeah. Can't play 80k all at once. Yeah. Players developed racing on their own. CRG takes note, watches racing, gives us 2 tracks. What other dev pays that much attention? Yeah. If it was already invalidated prior, they just put the final nail in the coffin. Except it's still not finished. You are saying that like that's going to be mining gameplay for the rest of time. It's just not. You know, that's not actually how this works. Never even tried using a gadget. I've yet to see any point to them. They make mining rocks significantly easier, but longer to do. And so for brand new players, it's really good. For brand new players, it's actually fantastic because they get to rent a prospector and can actually break profitable rocks. But they don't do that for long because mining is such a massive moneymaker that the second they start breaking any reasonable rocks, they're out of that after like a week minimum. Yeah, multi-crew mining should be revalidated, but should be revalidated over other gameplay loops? Probably not. You know, like, you know how many people were complaining about the refining gameplay loop being put in when it did? How many people were complaining about mining gadgets, not because they were useless, but because they were touching up mining again? Like, yeah, it is definitely not a priority right now. I would love them to do it, but it's not a priority right now to make the mole a really, really good in-game vehicle. You know? Way to improve multiplayer mining would be to increase the stability timer on the mole to allow mining more quant rocks. That would help, but realistically, it's just make larger rocks. Almost entirety of stuff has been dropped to focus on Squadron 42. A lot of the dedicated PU teams have been moved to Squadron 42 to get it out the door and not take another 5 years. Yes. Is that a bad thing? Like I guess that is a bad thing for your experience because you don't want that. You don't really care about the Squadron 42 development cycle. But as we've seen in the chat, there's multiple people that care about Squadron 42, myself included. And it sort of comes down to is like, of course you're allowed to be mad about that. But there's 80,000 different ways that people want this game to be developed. You can't please everyone. When you are in such an open development, and regardless what you say, it's an extremely open development compared to most developers, you're going to have cases like that, and it sucks. Left me a DM? Okie dokie. Where are the virtual bar citizens? I don't want to go outside. That's where the Civil War happens. Damn, you right. I also wouldn't say the mining is finished yet either. Yeah, it's not. That's a big thing. That's exactly what I'm saying. But it doesn't need stuff right now. Wasn't the mole supposed to be able to remove and note material, etc. also? So my belief was that when it was initially released, it was supposed to not just be able to filter stuff, but it was also supposed to be able to refine itself. But it's been such a long time that like everything's a disclaimer with that vehicle. I was wondering someone in earlier about Squadron 42 said everyone will move on to Squadron 42 Part 2. The actual Squadron 42 is quite small, so the entire company is focusing on it instead of the PU. But like it's not small though. It's an incredibly large task. I use the Bormax gadget regularly. I have broken 7,500 kilograms, 42% quant rock solo in a Prozzy and a Lancer using the Bormax. Yeah. I mean, you could have done that with a Lancet and like the reason that no one's really using gadgets is because you could also do that with a Lancet and Surge charges, and that's it. You'd get there. Really, it's Surge. You know how you fix it? Nerf the Surge module. Stop making it the like only module worth using. I'm sick of it. I hate it. It's a garbage module for terrible people. Get it out of here. I'm done with it. What is your best activities right now in the verse? I still love doing the bunker missions, and I love mining. And I'm never going to stop liking those. And I've really been enjoying racing. I've really been enjoying the racing team. the actual Squadron 42 team, but they're not small. Or do you mean the ones that are only working on Squadron 42? Refunding. Am I excited for Salvage? Yes, mostly just because it's a new gameplay loop. I'm more a miner than I am a salvager, but we'll see. Use Surge and Stampede together to crack 8k rocks, yeah. But it's mostly the Surge that gets you there, Metatron, you know? 42 dedicated team has been as compared to the rest of CG. Yeah. That is correct. But the amount of people working on Squadron 42 is the vast majority of the company. Surge module, best module? Nah, just remove Surge. I hate Surge so much. Because, like, first off, yeah, really the Surge is what invalidated multi-crew mining. Because it meant that only one laser was ever needed to crack any rock in the game. It doesn't mean, like, obviously there's remedies where you can keep Surge and stuff. But I also just think it's a lame... I think it's just a lame module. Right? Just being able to crack literally any rock by pressing a button? That's dumb. That's stupid. It shouldn't be give you 40% regardless of energy level. I think that's the thing that annoys the crap out of me. It has descended into Croncy Q&A. Like, this is also like an hour and a half long Commlink right now. Most Metro has a filter for materials as well. There's an actual thing at the back designed for it, and you can actually open, close, and interact with them in the rear. All ships are meant to be able to filter rocks, just the mole is a lot better at it. Yeah. But I'm fairly sure it's supposed to be able to refine as well. I'm not that sure. I'm like 60% sure it was originally supposed to refine. And you've got the whole middle section between the cockpit and the like kitchen. I don't remember if that was supposed to be a filter or a refinery. They're presumably a filter. Problem is, bigger rocks like 15k ones would be too big for the mole to actually mine all the materials out of, so you need multiple prospectors and moles to actually scoop up all the materials. That's actually not true. If you have, so right now an 8k like 45%. I mean, Red Monster could probably do the math right now, but an 8k 45% will get you like 40, 50, 55 SCU of quant. So a 15k rock wouldn't actually necessarily be more than a mole could take. Though you would probably, I know that they'd use like some very specific math to work out resistance and instability, and that also probably needs to be messed up. AK 45% is 72 SU. Really? Interesting. Well, still, I don't think that invalidates 15k rocks. Right? Worth 633k. Oh, money. But yeah, regardless, with rocks that large, they probably would have to mess around with the maths of instability and resistance. Really, all those stupid modules made them break the helix, so solo mining is not really fun anymore. Not relaxing fun anymore. Well, no, it's specifically Surge. I love the passive modules. Passive modules are... Mwah. They're fantastic. Huge fan. Hey, Captain Michael Bones. That's all right. I'll be chucking this up on YouTube. But right now it's looking like it's going to be like a 2-hour video. This is a big session 0 Commlink. That's all right. It means we're learning a lot for when we do next week's. New VOD title, CRG, what the fuck Sergi Drunko is. Should be called Cronlink. We thought of that and we thought of Cronlink, but like not enough people who aren't part of the community know what that means. They'll just be like, what the fuck is this? Commlink makes sense, as well as because it's a conversation between chat, right? It's a Commlink. It's the thing in the game. It's global chat. Anyway. I am going out with the mole tonight. Wish me luck. Good luck. Wouldn't mining be amazing with waypoint markers? Yes. Although it wouldn't actually change as much as you'd think right now, but it'd be fantastic in the future. Yeah, obviously. And like, it'll be a thing that'll happen. Waypoint markers are a huge thing that like almost every profession wants. Just at the very least for like party gameplay, being able to put down markers one way or the other. And you can kind of put down markers now with like delivery boxes, but that's obviously not intentional. So. Oh, this is global chat minimizes. Damn it. 15k rock would just be lower percentage of comp, but still be worth breaking. Yeah, that as well. Like you could find a 15k rock that was like 30% is still going to like fill up your mall. You know, just be much harder to rock, much harder to get. F12. Waypoint markers that you can track and sell. Hello, info running. Yeah, some of them would be dope. English is hard. I am looking forward. What? We need a fake fire. Fake fire would be great. All right. We'll finish up Commlink. Does anyone... Like, we went way too far into the, like... Is PvP legitimate? It is such a... It's got to be, like, the touchiest subject in Starset, right? Is PvP stuff. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to talk about in regards to specifically criminal gameplay? Not necessarily, I want Timmy to stop PvPing me. On my comment of, I am looking forward to mining tier minus 5 salvage gameplay. Reverse tier. On behalf of all space dads, anyone who shoots another player for any reason is a griefer. And I think that's a good summary of what we've been talking about today, Red Monster. I think we can tagline that. All PvP is griefing. We'll just have a... Oh, man. Yeah, so increasing criminal punishments, we were talking about that before. I actually wouldn't be surprised if that is a thing that happens in 318 because it makes sense from a bunch of different perspectives. One is that it was criminal like time punishment in prison was put down a couple of patches ago, like a couple of major patches ago. Mostly because people were getting crime stats accidentally, and they're going to be getting crime stats accidentally, presumably for a very long time, until we get some like extremely major bugs fixed and stuff. Bringing it in for when, well, like it is now becoming the criminal patch, right? Like this is the pirate patch. When you really think about it, 318 is becoming the pirate patch, assuming that cargo refactor does in fact end up coming in with the patch. Cargo refactor means I can pirate you and steal your cargo. Salvage means I can kill you and salvage your vehicle. And then SPK and prison both being updated really does mean it's the pirate patch. So I genuinely expect they will probably up the times so that people firstly get more incentivized to go get rid of their thing at SPK. And we've already talked about the removal of the UGF stuff and what everyone thinks there. But at the very least, that's what they do. And then also to get people to do the new prison gameplay. Like to see a criminal comms network, true. Yeah, Mikhail. It's criminal gameplay is going to become more in depth regardless, right? Why is Grimhex not full of Ninetale CG? That's actually explained, Mikhail. They're not supposed to be on the face of it, Grimhex's Ninetales. Because I was reading a thing about it. It's like apparently Crusader do go to Grimhex every now and then and are like, are you committing crime? And they're like, us? Never. We're not the Neen Tools. Never heard of them. Ignore that body over there. Like they basically just they hide it with the authorities. Why do the Ninetales not have more hidden bases around Stanton with how prolific they are in lore? Because they're focusing around Crusader, which is becoming more and more lore. Should CS be generated in the future? I think it should, but it should probably be like a relatively long time period. It's a tattoo parlor, 100%. Okay, cool. So yeah, we've been going for over an hour and a half now. So we're going to end episode 0 of Commlink there. That went left, right, corner, center. That went a little bit everywhere, that conversation. But I like doing these conversations. So we are going to continue these going forward. Every single Monday, at least at the moment, the plan is every single Monday we're going to do these at 2 p.m. UTC. We'll have some sort of topic, which I will be leaking in Discord so that you guys can, think about what your think about what you want to talk about in regards to that. And we'll sort of always start with me talking a little bit about my opinions of it, which will usually only be about 10 minutes before we start talking to chat. The plan is also eventually I'm going to be inviting people from chat into the stream itself to actually like chat in that sense. Like actually like audio chat for like a couple of minutes, whatever. And yeah, that's the plan. I don't know what the topic is going to be next Monday, but yeah. There we go. Let us never talk about PvP again. There's 2 weeks. 2 weeks of talking about basically nothing but PvP. And also a random tangent about the garbage Surge module that I hate.